Allah is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test.
To all our viewers tuning in today, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Ask Huda. I'm your host, Fuad Muhammad. Today we're privileged to be joined by as well by our dear and respected Islamic scholar, Dr. Muhammad Salah. Assalamu alaikum, Doctor, and it's a pleasure having you today on Ask Huda.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Fuad. The pleasure is all mine.
Just a quick reminder of our telephone numbers, 00-202-38555, 248 or 249, and you can write to us at ask, that's ask, @huda.tv. Dr. Muhammad, we start off with Omar's question from Nigeria. He wants to know if a female student can hold or touch the Quran during her monthly cycle.
Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala nabiyyihi wa Mustafa, Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. All praise due to Allah alone, we praise Him and we seek His help. Whomsoever Allah guides is a truly guided one, and whomsoever Allah leaves astray, no one can show him guidance. I bear witness that there is no God worthy of worship but Allah alone, and I bear witness that Muhammad, peace be upon him, is His last messenger. With regards to touching the Quran, it is not permissible for a person to touch the Quran unless if he or she is in a state of complete purity. So if a woman is experiencing her menses, it is not permissible for her to touch the Quran with bare hands. We discussed before the dispute between the scholars with regards to the permissibility of reading the Quran during the menses for a woman. And we said, even though the vast majority of the scholars said women during their menses are not allowed to recite the Quran as an act of worship, but exempt out of that is a woman who is either teaching the Quran, or she is a student who is learning the Quran, or a woman who has memorized the Quran, and if she does not revise on a regular basis, she might forget. So lest that she will forget whatever she has memorized, it is permissible for them to revise, to teach, or to learn the regular classes, even though they are experiencing their menses, but that would not allow them to stay in the masjid, or in the territory of the masjid, nor would it allow them to touch the Quran with bare hands. So what is the solution? Is to touch the Quran wearing gloves, and whenever, if you not touching the Quran with a barrier, then while flipping the pages you can use an eraser or a pencil or something, but avoid touching the Quran with bare hands.
Okay, second question is quite a technical one. He says a person who's married to two women living in different cities, and he travels back and forth because sharing the time between the two wives. He wants to know what does he do with his salah with regards to shortening it.
In order to answer this question, we have to give an intro with regards to the principles of jurisprudence. There's something called the effective cause. Why did Allah the Almighty give us this concession to allow us to shorten the prayer? Basically, the effective cause for shortening the prayer is traveling, journeying. So if somebody is traveling, the travel distance would allow him to shorten the prayer and skip fasting if he is traveling during any mandatory fasting, let's say such as during Ramadan. So if somebody is traveling, as long as you're traveling, you're allowed to shorten and combine the prayer. But once you reside in one place, and that's why if somebody, according to the vast majority of the fuqaha, if somebody resides 4 days or more, then he will be treated as a resident. Similarly, if somebody, after traveling a long distance, he reaches home, because this is where his wife and his family is living. And he has another place where he has another wife, lucky he. So in this condition, once he reaches his home, he would pray as full, as regular, because he's not traveling anymore. While if he's traveling in between the travel distance, he is allowed to shorten the prayer while traveling. But once he reaches home, because he has a wife and family here and a wife and family there, so he'll pray on full or regular in both places, and Allah knows best.
Okay, we have Abu Hafaz from Qatar. Assalamu alaikum, brother. You're live and ask your questions, please. Brother Abu Hafaz, are you with us? Okay, we move to Brother Saif from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum, brother. You're live on Ask Huda.
Walaikum salam. How are you, brothers?
Alhamdulillah.
Okay. My question is regarding the end of times.
Okay.
Regarding the hadith of Tamim Dari, because he described in full about the Dajjal when he saw him. But I would like to know why he missed out on the eye. He didn't mention anything about the default in his eyes, like the other hadith say.
Okay.
And my second question is, when the Yajuj Majuj come out, will that be only like in one continent, one country, one area, or like the whole world?
Okay.
That's
Okay.
it. Thank you very much.
Barakallah feek, Brother Saif there from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Okay, Abu Hafaz is with us. Assalamu alaikum, brother. You're live on Ask Huda. Brother Abu Hafaz, are you with us? Okay, we seem to have a technical problem there. Saud, she wants to know the hadith that says the best month for fasting after Ramadan is Rajab. She wants to know the authenticity of this hadith.
It is not an authentic hadith, and all the hadith which are narrated in regards to giving a priority or a certain virtues to fasting during the month of Rajab, other than the regular fasting through Mondays and Thursdays and the 3 white days, 13th, 14th and 15th, any other hadith in this regard is either weak or fabricated. There is no sound hadith that specifies that fasting during the month of Rajab is of any superiority, and Allah knows best.
Okay, we have Sister Habiba from the UAE. Assalamu alaikum, sister. You're live on Ask Huda. Your questions, please.
Assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I really appreciate the effort you are putting for all the people in this world.
Thank you.
I am one of them.
Thank you.
And I'd like to just suggest Tanzania is not being viewed, Huda. Tanzania is
Okay.
Africa.
Yeah.
Is not being viewed. I don't know what is the reason.
Okay.
I guess I know the reason. Well, it's simply financial reasons. If we have a budget that is several $1 billion, we'll be more than happy to cover the entire earth. But basically, it's a matter of cost and affordability. We cannot afford it, and that's why.
Okay, okay. That's Habib, Sister Habiba there from the UAE. Saud has another question. She says the ruling on a person who does not pray due to laziness. Is he considered to be a disbeliever?
With regards to the scholars who distinguish between those who abandon prayers, they said if somebody does not pray because he denies the prayer totally, then he is a disbeliever immediately. And he will be given 3 days to review his view, to try to refute any misconceptions, to explain to him that the prayer is the most important pillar of the deen after pronouncing the Shahada. And if somebody does not pray due to laziness, will be treated likewise, because he will be ordered to pray. That obviously if we're living under an Islamic umbrella and Muslim rule, where if somebody does not pray, will be taken to the court and he will be forced to pray. Prayer, brothers and sisters, is the most important pillar of the deen. Why is that? We all know that in the hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said, that is narrated by Abdullah ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him and his father, that Islam is based and built on 5 pillars. The first is Shahadati an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh, to testify that there is no God to be worshipped other than Allah, and Muhammad is his servant and messenger. And to establish the prayer, the 5 daily prayers. This is only the 5 daily prayers. More than that is voluntary, supererogatory. Then to pay the zakah and to perform hajj and to fast during the month of Ramadan. This is the order of some of the hadith. When we examine the 5 pillars of the deen, we realize that some of them are only financial, such as giving alms. And some of them are only bodily or physical, would require to exert a physical effort, such as the prayers. And some of them consist of both, financial and bodily, such as hajj. You need to pay money and you need to perform hajj by yourself. If somebody does not have the financial means and he is poor and broke, then he is exempt from the zakat. Perhaps he is eligible to be a zakat recipient. And if this is the case, then he is exempt from performing Hajj as well, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لَمَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا أو مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا, if he can afford the means. And if somebody, in addition to being poor, is also physically sick and chronically ill, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ يُطِيقُونَهُ فِدْيَةٌ طَعَامُ مِسْكِينٍ. Then he does not have to fast during the month of Ramadan, rather there will be the fidya, feeding one miskin per each day that he or she does not fast. So zakah doesn't have to pay, fasting is exempt, Hajj is waived. What's left? Everybody says La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. So the actual practical pillar of the deen which remains still with everybody, and nobody will be exempt from offering the prayer except women during their menses, is as-salah. And that's why Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam made it very clear and explicit in various ahadith, and he said, Al-ahdu alladhi baynana wa baynahum as-salah, faman tarakaha faqad kafar. And look, there is, let me explain the meaning of the hadith first. He said that the difference between us and others, the non-Muslims, the disbelievers, is as-salah. So whoever does not pray has chosen to be a disbeliever. This is a statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Amongst his last statements, as-salat, as-salah, wa ma malakat aymanukum. So enjoin upon us as-salah, 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 and its importance. And you should not even postpone it nor delay it from its proper time. We find there is a great surah that's called Surah Al-Ma'un, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala threatens those who pray, but this kind of prayer. They pray sometimes, then they skip the prayer some other times. They pray occasionally. They pray on Fridays or on the Eid, or whenever there is a wedding in the masjid or the Islamic center, or if there is a funeral prayer. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns them by saying, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَعُونَ. So woe to those who pray, but they are negligent of their prayer. They do not pray constantly. Similarly, woe to those who pray in order to show off. So brothers and sisters, no one can claim to be a Muslim if he or she does not pray on a regular basis. Wallahu a'lam.
Okay, we have Sister Fatima from Bahrain. Assalamu alaikum. Sister, you're live on Ask Huda. Your questions, please.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam, Fatima. How are you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. How old are you?
I'm 10 years old.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. May Allah bless you and your parents.
Ameen.
So what's
Thank
your
you,
question today, Fatima?
I have two questions.
Okay.
Can we play with dice?
Okay.
Did you get my question?
Yes.
I got it. I definitely did.
My second question, I want to buy one game which includes dice.
Okay.
Can I buy the game?
So that's actually one question, not two. But anyway, in order to answer your question, Fatima, you need to answer my question. Do you know who was called Fatima before you? A very famous person?
Yes, it's Prophet's daughter, I think.
Mashallah.
Prophet Muhammad's daughter.
Exactly. May Allah bless you. Okay, I will answer you, inshallah, because you answered the question rightly. Thank you, Fatima.
Okay, that's
You're welcome.
Sister
Wa
Fatima from
alaikum
Bahrain.
salam wa rahmatullahi
It's a
wa barakatuh.
pleasure having the young callers here. And it's actually her question. She asked it quite a while ago. She wants to know if she can buy a game that contains dice.
No, unfortunately, you can't. There are so many other games that they're lawful for us to play and to buy and to exchange as gifts. But dice, there is a specific prohibition with regards to holding dice or playing with dice, because it's basically based on luck. And Islam requires one to work hard, even in games, to exert an effort, so that when you win due to your intelligence, you win due to your effort, not due to mere luck. Whenever you throw the dice, you don't really know whether it will be 6, 4, or 1. You don't know. These are all guesses, and it's based on luck. The Prophet ﷺ says, whoever plays with dice, he has done such a great sin, similar to one who have immersed or moist his hands with the flesh and the blood of the swine or the pig. You don't want to do that, Fatima. Such an awful thing to contaminate your hands with the blood and the flesh of pigs. So if you play with dice, that is similar to contaminating your hands with such dirt. So we should avoid that. And I'm pretty sure there are a lot of beautiful games around that you can buy instead of buying a game that have a dice. I hope this answer would also answer many of the adults who waste hours and hours on coffee shops here and there, especially in the Arabic countries, playing dice and say there is nothing wrong with it. It's a major sin because the Prophet ﷺ indicated a specific punishment for it.
Okay, we have Sister Mariam from the UAE. Assalamu alaikum, sister. You're live on Ask Huda. Questions, please.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sister Mariam.
Thank you for all the programs, mashallah. My question is about Taraweeh. Is Taraweeh, Tahajjud, Qiyamul Layl with all same prayer with different names? And if I prayed behind an Imam who's praying 21 rakah, that is for Taraweeh, am I doing bid'ah? And my second question, can a woman perform ablution at the time of menstruation, like to touch the Quran and during at the time of sleeping?
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah khair, Sister
Wa alaikum
Mariam there
assalam.
from the UAE. We also have Brother Abdullah from the UAE as well. Assalamu alaikum, brother. You're live on Ask Huda.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته يا شيخ. السلام عليكم شيخ.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Go ahead, Brother Abdullah, with your question.
Sir. Sheikh, I have an urgent, it's very urgent. I just want to ask for permission if you can answer this question today. Because I have some non-Muslim. They are asking me to buy them a wedding ring. They want to get married, so they are asking me to buy their wedding ring. Is this allowed for a Muslim to provide such a thing for the non-Muslim?
Okay. Jazakallah khair, Brother Abdullah there from the UAE. Sister Amina from Canada, she wants to know to what extent should a wife obey her husband? Can he tell her what to eat? And she says, in her second question, it's actually the same thing. She wants to know, for example, if he forbids her from listening to a specific sheikh on the internet and she does, what's the sin?
Well, the Prophet ﷺ said in one hadith, if a woman offers her 5 daily prayers on a regular basis and fasts during the month of Ramadan, obeys her husband and protect her modesty or chastity, on the day of judgment it will be said to her, enter paradise from whichever gate you desire. Many people broadly misunderstand the concept of obeying the husband. And many husbands misuse this quality which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them. Obedience is not absolute. One who should be obeyed absolutely is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ وَأُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْكُمْ فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ إِن كُنتُمْ تُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ وَأَحْسَنُ تَأْوِيلًا. Chapter An-Nisa. So obedience absolutely is for Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and for the Muslim rulers if they command us with whatever Allah and His Messenger have commanded and within our capacity. Even Allah's commands sometimes it is permitted for us to waive them if one is in certain conditions where he or she cannot afford to fulfill them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. And He said, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. So keep your duties to Allah as much as you can. And that's why He said to one who cannot stand up while praying, while standing is a rukn, is a pillar, and it is required for the validity of the prayer, sit down if you can. And if you can pray while lying down. And He said to one who's traveling, you don't have to fast. And for one who's sick or breastfeeding, you don't have to fast. You can make it up some other time, etc. So if a husband wants to be obeyed, then he should only order or ask his wife to do something that is in line with or in compliance with the guidance of the Quran and the Sunnah. Does not order her to do anything that is prohibited or disliked. Number 2, within her capacity. And I guess when some husbands abuse this by ordering their wives not to speak to their parents, not to visit with them, not to answer their phones, they're committing a big sin. They're disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who ordered us to be kind to our relatives, to our parents, and to uphold the ties of our kinship. But there are certain areas where really you have to ask the husband why did you say you should not be doing that? Because he just asked a question, one of those questions. She said that he ordered her not to listen to certain speakers on the internet. Is there a reason? I'm sure it will be best for you to ask him and explain what is the reason. Perhaps he knows that this sheikh, there are a lot of sayings about him, or maybe he answered questions pertaining to Aqidah in a wrong way or whatever. But it is not a dictatorship. It is not for the husband to say, do as you're commanded and you are not allowed to discuss. That is not in Islam. And when Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, who was born and raised in Mecca, which was a very tough place. And when they treated their wives, a wife would not have any say at all. So one day, his wife was arguing with him. He said, are you arguing with me? Are you discussing with me a command of mine? She said, why not? If the Prophet ﷺ allows his wives to discuss and argue with him, and either he would convince them or they would convince him, why not with you? So Umar ibn Khattab had his daughter who was married to the Prophet ﷺ, Hafsa, may Allah be pleased with her. So he ran to her and he said, do you guys do that with the Prophet ﷺ? She said, yes, we do. So if this is the Prophet ﷺ who would allow his wives to ask questions, and he would have to present reasonable answers, or explain to them why yes, why not, things like that, then it is more worthy for his followers to follow his footsteps, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, especially when he said, خيركم, the best of all of you, خيركم لأهله, are those who are good to their wives, وأنا خيركم لأهلي. And then he remarked saying, and I am the best to my family, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the relationship between the couple should not be based on that there is a dictator and there are servants or maids at home. No, it's a matter of وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. Amongst his signs that he created for yourselves, from amongst yourselves, spouses, in order to find repose in them. And what are the elements which will secure this repose and make it happen? وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. Mawaddatan wa rahmah. There are two different things, but they would pour by the end into creating repose, love, mercy, and compassion.
Okay, we have Sister Maryam from the United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum, Sister. You're live and ask.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sheikh, I would like to ask, due to I have a sister working also here in United Arab Emirates, but her madam complaining with me that because she embraced Islam last January, and then the housemaid found out that she do a sign of the cross because she is a Christian before. Then because she is my own sister, then her madam complaining with me, why Mariam, your sister like this? I tell her, Madam, I already gave all my books that I studied before in Islamic Center in Philippines. And then I tell her, all what I know is I teach her step by step. And also doing salat. The one, because I heard, because her madam tell me that it's better she remove her hijab and abaya to make it, she do only for that she make a religion. So what should I do for my sister, brother, so that she will not feel angry, and even me, to make it clear to her what is the importance of religion for her.
Okay. Jazakallah khair, Sister Maryam there from the UAE. We also have Brother Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, brother. You're live and ask Huda.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sheikh, I wanted to ask about witr. Sometimes, usually I wake up for tahajjud and pray my witr. But sometimes what happens is I don't wake up. So, I miss my witr. Is it permissible that I pray my witr in Isha, and if I wake up for my tahajjud?
Got it. Jazakallah khair, Brother Muhammad there from the UAE. Brother Muzammil from the UAE, he says his friend bought a car on an interest-based loan from the bank. However, he's traveling for a few months and he would like to borrow the car from his friend on the condition that he would pay the rent as the monthly installment to the bank. And he wants to know if this is permissible to do.
Okay, if somebody purchased a car, a vehicle, or a building with a loan that he took and a mortgage from the bank, interest based. This is haram. Now I am a third party who's renting the place or the vehicle from him, and I'm paying for my usage. That is permissible. I'm not responsible for the first contract that the person have concluded with the bank or whatever. Or otherwise, you know what? I would not find a single person to deal with. So it's as simple as that. كل نفس بما كسبت رهينة. You will be only responsible for yourself and your dealings. You are paying for a certain time that you are renting the vehicle from him. You give him the money and he's free to pay the installment or to do whatever to do with it, and you're not responsible for his very first transaction. Wallahu a'lam. There was one brother who wanted to answer his question during this episode.
Brother Abdullah,
marriage.
Brother Abdullah from you, he wants to know if he can help some non-Muslims in buying a wedding ring for them.
Help some non-Muslims for buying a wedding ring for them. I was under the impression that he is marrying a non-Muslim and it was a condition.
No, he didn't
because
say that.
in Islam we don't have the wedding ring. This is a Christian habit. Okay? Rather we have the dowry. The Quran stated that the dowry is the right for the bride.
Yeah.
It is not the right for her guardian, for her family, or for the groom. It is for her. And it's got to be paid by the husband or the groom. So it could be some jewel, it could be clothes, it could be cash, it could be a living place or whatever. So if you want to assist somebody who is not Muslim in getting married and support them financially in order to get married because they're poor, that's a good cause, but it should not be done from the zakah fund, rather from the voluntary charity. And they're free to do whatever they want to do with it as long as it is permissible in their faith. Wallahu a'lam.
Okay, we have Brother Idris from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum, brother. You're live on Ask Huda. Your questions, please.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. I want to know up to what time can one fast during the month of Sha'ban?
Okay.
Voluntary fasting.
Okay. Jazakallah khair, Brother Idris there from Nigeria. Yes, Sister Safiya, she says she wants to know if someone recites an extra surah with Surah Al-Fatiha in the third or fourth rak'ah, what should that person do in order to
If the person does that out of forgetfulness, there is no blame on him. And by the way, it was done a few times by the Prophet ﷺ that he recited in the third rak'ah or the fourth after in Dhuhr prayer. So if the person did that undeliberately, then his prayer is valid and he does not owe any sujood of sahw.
Okay, Brother Yusuf from Egypt, he wants to know which is the best country to make hijrah to.
I wish we can ask, we can all ask somebody who knows where we can make hijrah to the same place. Personally, it's my dream to live and die in the city of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But I don't know if it is that easy and accessible, because it is not as easy as we read in the books that the Prophet ﷺ migrated from Mecca to Al-Medina, and similarly the Sahaba came from Al-Habash to Al-Medina, and so on. Nowadays, a lot of logistics are included and involved, and financial support, in finding a job, and finding a place to live in. And it is not that once you move, you can just settle there forever. It's a matter of residency and visas. You know, so if you can find a way where you can just move and live in Al-Medina, that would be the best choice. I'm making a call right now and I'm raising my hands and asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before anybody else. It is my dream to move, to live and die in Al-Medina. And why not? Why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you can live and die in Al-Medina, do so, because I will intercede for those who will die in the city of the Prophet ﷺ, in Al-Medina. Al-Medina al-Munawwara is one of two places in which the false Messiah would not dare to enter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will appoint angels to guard the city of the Prophet ﷺ and Mecca from their borders, so that the false Messiah would enter every city and village on earth except Mecca wal Medina. And why did I say Al-Medina, not Mecca? Of course, Mecca is the most sacred place on earth. But I said Al-Medina where it would not be that crowded, especially during Hajj season and in Ramadan. It's more spacious, where you can also study and find shuyukh and scholars to attend halaq in order to seek religious knowledge. Because basically, one of the main purposes of hijrah is to seek knowledge. It's not just to live, to move to some place where you end up eating and drinking and that's it. No, to improve your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have an opportunity to pray the 5 daily prayers if you can in the prophetic masjid. Not after time you get used to living there and you just abandon praying in the masjid totally. No, because you're making hijrah, you're making sacrifices. So when I said I wish somebody can come up and say, yes, this is a place where if you wish, you can make the decision right now, and we're opening our arms to receive you and we'll provide you with whatever necessary needs. I wish that the day will come where it will be that easy, where Muslims can travel between the Muslim countries without any need for visas or residency.
Okay, we have Brother Muhammad from the UAE. Assalamu alaikum, brother, you're live on Ask Huda.
Sheikh, I would like to ask about the hadith of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that the most beloved fasting to Allah Azza wa Jalla, I think the Prophet was Prophet Dawood, and to fast day and to break a day. Day by day, Allah.
Yeah.
Really...
It's a sound hadith. What about it?
Yes, I would like to know if it's authentic or not, Sheikh.
It is authentic. It is authentic, yes. In which the Prophet ﷺ was addressing Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, may Allah be pleased with him. When he heard that Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As was such a great righteous worshipper, that he used to fast on every single day and he used to pray all night long. So Nabi ﷺ reviewed him in this regard, to the extent that he abandoned his newly married wife. When he got married newly, he ignored her because he was in ibadah day and night. So Nabi ﷺ, when he heard about that, he asked him to fast Mondays and Thursdays and 3 days of every month. He said, I can afford to do more than that. He said, well, then the maximum you can do is to fast on every other day. That is the best fasting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the best fasting, the fasting of Prophet David. أحب الصيام عند الله صيام داود عليه السلام. He used to fast on every other day.
Okay, Jazakallah khair, Doctor. We'll take a short break here on Ask Huda and we'll be back right after this. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We are excited to inform our viewers that the Quran in Depth with Sheikh Ibrahim Zidan will be filmed live starting on Mondays at 1800 GMT.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the Quran, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. That we reveal from the Quran what is cure and mercy to the believers. So the Quran is the cure. Cure physically to the diseases physically in the body and in the heart. We were ordered to recite Surah Al-Fatiha in every time we stand in the Salah. Pillar of the Salah. We need to change our life according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us, according to this book. As the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, that the Quran is the thing between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whoever holds fast to it, he would never be led astray.
We will take your calls and answer any questions you may have, as well as help you in your journey to understand the Quran properly. We hope you will join Huda TV and Sheikh Ibrahim Zidan every Monday from 1800 GMT until 1900 GMT for the Quran in Depth.
You know, sometimes it's important to take a break. We need to take a break. Take a break from what? From the everyday things to look at what we're really doing as Muslims. That's why we said we really need to have this program for you and for me to take a break right here on Huda TV. Stay with us because we've got a lot coming up on Take a Break.
I say that the translation has been indirectly influenced with the Israelite narrative.
We haven't faced any problems in our preparations.
We can't call it the wise Hajj. In Egypt, you have a huge amount of initiative going on in terms of developing qualifications in different parts of the system.
Reading helps you gain knowledge, but saving the net doesn't help you at all.
They are all welcome
to participate in the discussion and the debate about the development of qualifications.
What types of books our children do or should read?
Join me for further discussion of Focus Point.
Huda, a light in every home.
Comes to you the truth and the attribute of the one who created you, that he's one and alone running this universe, that he doesn't become born, he doesn't die, he doesn't eat and then go to the bathroom. This is not God.
You got problems here. It doesn't make sense. Who was Jesus worshiping? Because it's recorded in the Gospels. Despite all of the other issues about the Gospels, we put those aside. We just say it's mentioned there that Jesus worshiped God.
One who protects us from hunger.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. You're watching Ask Huda. Just a quick reminder of our telephone numbers 00-202-38555-248 or 249, or you can write to us at ask@huda.tv. We have Abdul Rahman from Kuwait. Assalamu alaikum, sister. You're live on Ask Huda.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, I would like to ask a question about the fiqh of hijrah. Is it true, is there authentic proof that if a person performs hijrah, they cannot go back to the place where they made hijrah from and stay there more than 3 or 5 days? Is there any evidence regarding this?
Okay. And
what is the sin? What sin is upon the person if they return to a place where they have made hijrah from? For example, to take care of an elderly parent where there are no other siblings.
Okay. Jazakallah khair, sister. Go ahead.
My third question is As-Sabru one of the names of Allah? As-Sabru.
Sabru? Okay.
Jazakallahu khair.
Barakallah feek, sister Abdul Rahman there from Kuwait. We also have brother Saleh from Switzerland. Assalamu alaikum, brother. You're live on Ask Huda.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa
alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My question is, I have two questions, and the other is a comment. I start with the comment is it possible that you increase your time, because 1 hour is not enough for the program? I don't know. So this is just a comment. And my first question is, people who go for Huruj, I don't know, it's called Huruj, or who go for Dawah at the mosque, sometimes they come from another country to another country.
Okay.
Is this some they go to travel off to India, even they never been for the Hajj?
I got your question.
Okay, and the third question is reciting the Quran without having ablution, that is by heart, reciting the Quran by heart without having ablution. Is it accepted or not?
Okay.
Jazakallah khair.
You're welcome.
So, brother Saleh there from Switzerland. Brother Saif from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is asking about the hadith of Tamim al-Dari. He wants to know that he didn't mention anything about the eye, and he wants to know if you can give some description that he missed.
Basically, this is a sound hadith that's collected by Al-Bukhari and Muslim, in which the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam once, I'm going to give the summary because this is a very lengthy hadith. We would like to take a whole episode just to discuss this beautiful hadith. But just to give you some insight about it. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam once gathered the Muslim ummah in Medina, and he climbed the minbar, and he said that, you remember, I used to talk to you about something that it has been confirmed right now. Tamim ibn Aus al-Dari was a Christian, and he accepted Islam, and he came to give the Pledge of Allegiance. And he narrated to me a story that's confirming what I used to prophesize and I used to tell you before. It is pertaining the false Messiah or Al-Masih al-Dajjal. What about it? He said that Tamim al-Dari, he was a sailor. So once he was sailing, he was on a boat, him and about 30 other people, where their boat or ship drifted away and ended up at a deserted island. So once they got off the boat, they have seen a very disgusting and awful creature. They asked her or him, said, "Woe to you! What are you?" They said, "It said Ana al-Jassasa." So anyway, it led them to a hut and said, "There is somebody inside this hut who would like to speak to you." So it spoke to them, whether he or she, this Jassasa, because it ends up with ta marbuta, it should be she, spoke to them in their language. So when they enter into a deer or the hut, they found a man. They said, "We found an insan, that we have never seen any greater creature than him. And he was so ugly, but so huge. And he was so tightened up and fastened. His hands were fastened up to his neck. And his knees all the way to his ankles were fastened with iron, with metal, all the way." So he spoke to us and he asked him 3 questions about the date palm trees of Bisan, the lake of Tabariya, and about a water well. And then he said, he gave them some prophecies. And they asked him, "Who are you anyway?" He said, "I'm about to come out whenever Allah's leave would come, whenever He allows me. I am at the Dajjal." And he explained to them. So the brother is asking about, obviously, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, after he finished quoting their story, he said, "And this is what I have been telling you." He's sitting there, and whenever the day and the time will come, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will untie him and will allow him to go out to try people and so on. The biggest and the worst trial that every prophet used to warn their people against is the trial of the false Messiah. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "I'm going to give you some descriptions that you cannot miss him." Number 1, عَيْنُهُ مَمْسُوحًا. One of his eyes is blind out and it's wiped out. So it's like there is, it is completely removed. Maybe there is a scar in its state. And between his eyes on the forehead, the word kafara, the 3 letters, kafara, that disbelieved, or kafir, that he is a kafir. Every believer will be able to read it, whether he is literate or illiterate. The brother's question is, how come that Tamim al-Dari did not mention about his eye? Well, not necessarily that he was given the exact description of everything, because they were struck with the scene. They were shocked to see this huge, humongous creature whom they did not know whether he's an insan or otherwise, but they described him as an insan, as a human being. So they were shocked with the scene, and he described some, and the Prophet ﷺ gave the exact details. And in this hadith, we find that the Prophet ﷺ is confirming that this creature whom they have seen is exactly the false Messiah. Wallahu a'lam.
Okay, Sister Afifa from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum, sister. You're live on Ask Huda.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh. This is Sister Asiya Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Sister Sheikh, last Friday we have been to Medina. Alhamdulillah. As I was reading Surah Kahf, I remember you and Sheikh Mutasim. And really praise for both of you all. May Allah bless you. The efforts which you have put that really make me easy to read the surah. I'm really thankful for it. Jazakallah khair.
We're indeed very lucky, and may Allah accept your dua. Thank you so much. Jazakumullahu khayran.
Okay, that's Sister Afifa. We also have Brother Muhammad from Mauritania. Assalamu alaikum, brother. You're live on Ask Huda. Brother Muhammad, are you with us?
Go
ahead, brother.
My question is, I know a woman, so her husband did not access to work.
Okay.
And she's doing all the best she can to feed, let's say, her children.
Okay.
And the husband did not access to work anywhere.
Okay.
So the problem is, did she have the right to stop having, I would say, children?
Okay.
Because whenever she got pregnant, she got a lot of problems, and she's just depending on the other people, and it's not easy to be helped in this way.
Okay, got it. Jazakallah khair, Brother Muhammad there from Mauritania. A question that the brother also asked, Saif, he wants to know if it mentioned any place in the hadith, any specific continent where they found the Dajjal?
Yes, the hadith discussed that his followers will be 70,000 from the Yahud of Asbahan. This is a place in Iran currently. So that will be his beginning. But where will he emerge from exactly, Allah knows best.
Okay, and Sister Mariam from UAE, she wants to know if there's any difference between Taraweeh, Tahajjud, Qiyam. Are they all the same?
The word Qiyam is general and it covers all of that. And Tahajjud likewise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said with regards to reciting Quran in the night prayer, وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَتَهَجَّدَ بِهِ نَافِلَةً لَكَ عَسَىٰ أَن يَبْعَثَكَ رَبُّكَ مَقَامًا مَحْمُودًا. So if somebody prays at night, it is called Qiyamul Layl, where somebody is standing. Qiyam means standing in prayer at night. But the Taraweeh is specifically describing certain prayer after Isha during the nights of Ramadan. It was prescribed initially by the Prophet ﷺ. Then after a few days, the Nabi ﷺ dismissed the companions and let them pray all on their own. The purpose of that was not to think that it is mandatory. And we discussed before a hadith that is collected by Imam al-Bukhari, in which that al-Mu'mineen Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha wa ardaha stated that إن كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يدع العمل وهو يحبه خشية أن يفرض على أصحابه, which means that sometimes or many times that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to abandon a righteous act of worship that he used to love to do it and he would love to resume doing it, but he would cease its performance so that it would not be considered as fard or mandatory. He would interrupt its practice. And she gave an example of the duha prayer, which she said, I have never seen the Prophet ﷺ praying duha, while we all know that Salatul Duha is emphasized in many ahadith, so that he used to pray it many times, to the extent that some people would think it is fard. And then he will interrupt in order to confirm that it is not fard, it is mere recommended or sunnah. Similarly, Salatul Taraweeh is sunnah. It is not a wajib, nor is it mandatory. And to pray it in congregation, whether the Imam is praying 8 rak'ahs in addition to Shafa and Watch, or 21 rak'ahs, is highly recommended, and it is recommended to pray it in Jama'ah. The Jama'ah was reassembled by Umar ibn Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, and he did not do any act of innovation, because basically it was done during the life of the Prophet ﷺ in congregation. So if the Imam is praying it in whichever format, 11 or 21, and you are a follower, it is best for you to follow the Imam until he finishes the prayer, because the Nabi ﷺ said, it will be considered as the entire night prayer for you if you pray with the Imam until he finishes. You do not withdraw before the Imam finishes. And do not create any fitna or confusion in the community, because as I said, if you pray 8, then Shafa and Watr total is 11, or you pray it with the Imam 21, that is perfectly fine. If some people pray after that, it is also permissible. If you ask me about the best, that the hadith indicated, which is narrated by Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha wa ardaha, that the Prophet's night prayer never exceeded the 11 rak'ahs, the 8, then the Shafa and Witr. Wallahu a'lam.
Okay, her second question is, if one of the women is from the set that you mentioned about who can recite the Quran during her menses period, should she perform wudu before reciting the Quran?
It is permissible. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, whenever he would have an intimate relationship with his one of his spouses, he might go to sleep without taking a bath. Why? In order to inform us it is permissible to sleep without taking a bath until the next prayer, which is Fajr, obviously, in this condition. But he would perform wudu to sleep in wudu. But would wudu be enough to lift the major impurity? Obviously not. So, women during their menses sometimes they feel that they want to perform wudu. They want to live the moment. That is permissible, and they may be rewarded for that. Wallahu a'lam.
Okay, Sister Mariam from the UAE, she seems very troubled. She said her sister, she's working as a housemaid in the UAE, and she accepted Islam last January. However, her boss found her making the sign of the cross. the madam or the boss of the house found her making the sign of the cross. She's working as a housemaid.
Okay, so she noticed that she is praying the Christian prayer.
Yeah, just she make the sign of the cross.
Okay.
Okay. So she told her, which is the sister of Maryam, that she should take off her hijab and she should not be a Muslim.
Why?
Because she sees this, that she's still a Christian. So Sister Maryam wants your advice of how she can deal with such a situation when she doesn't want her sister to return back to her old religion.
Okay. I guess frequently we give da'wah to the Filipino community, and we have seen how soft-hearted they are, and they accept Islam in great numbers. MashaAllah, la quwwata illa billah. To the extent that sometimes you think that they're making it up, and they're just trying to please you or whatever, and they end up better Muslims than those who are born in Islam. So I would like to discuss the hadith of Usama ibn Zayd when he was on the battlefield, and one of the worst enemies who have hurt the Muslim army a lot and killed many of the Muslims. Now he was overcome by Usama ibn Zayd. Then Usama ibn Zayd was ready to kill him, and he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. The disbeliever said. So Usama ibn Zayd still killed him. And when the news reached the Prophet ﷺ, and he accounted Usama for what he did, and Usama was one of the most beloved to the Prophet ﷺ, and similarly his father. He said, Ya Rasulullah, he only said that word to save his life. He did not really mean it. Okay, the sister now is saying that she's not really a Muslim, let her take her hijab off and let her become a Christian back. Okay, we want to compare between the two incidents. Usama ibn Zayd judged this person, and I say to myself, even though I have heard this hadith repeatedly, if I was in Usama's condition, I would have done the same. I would not have the least mercy on this person who was a big criminal, and I would have assumed the same. He only said it in order to save his life. What was the reaction of the Prophet ﷺ? He was so angry, and he said to Usama, have you just killed the Muslim, Usama? He said, Ya Rasulullah, he was a disbeliever. He did not really mean it. So Nabi ﷺ was even harsher on him and said, did you cut open his heart? Did you check on his intention? How do you know? So how do you know that she is not a true Muslim? How do you know that she only accepted Islam because she's working for you, madam? How do you know? How do you know? How do you? Somebody came to me and said, I would like to be a Muslim. More than welcome. You are most welcome. Even if this person has a hidden agenda, I will treat him according to what's obvious to me. And you never know. Many people have hidden agendas, and they became true Muslims because now they have closer exposure or greater exposure to Islam than before. So instead of saying, if somebody has a habit of rowing the cross or praying by the hand or whatever, they do not know how to get rid of it or whatever. So it is okay for them to take some time, and it is required for us to help them out to overcome these bad habits. Until today, many Muslims who were born in Islam are doing some practices that belong to the non-Muslim community, whether in India or in the Arab world or here or there. We inherited those cultural practices. So do we judge them as non-Muslims immediately, or we have to explain to them what's right from what's wrong? So we pray for the sister, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strengthen her iman.
Amen.
And we asked Maryam to support her sister in her study to the deen, since she is new to Islam, and ask her boss or employer to take it easy on her, and instead explain to her what she should be doing. Wallahu ta'ala a'la wa a'lam. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم.
Jazakallah khair for your time and for being with us today, Dr. Muhammad Salah. Just before I leave you, if you have any other question you would like us to answer it, you can write to us at ask, that's ask@huda.tv. And don't forget, you can keep supporting us here just by sending that email at support@huda.tv, on our website www.huda.tv, and leave you in Allah's care. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
If my love is attached to thee, then from sins I will be free. Each time my heart will beat, your name will resound with heat. Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test.